scouts are relied on heavily when evaluating talent.
Teams should be drafting for the future and not just immediate needs.
It all starts with the quarterback position.
Thank you for listening to the East West Football Podcast with Jerry Martinez, Kendall Whitley, and now here is your host, Fidel Barraza.
Thank you for watching the East West Football Podcast on the East West Football Network YouTube channel. Tonight we have a special guest, Coach Hue Jackson. How you doing, Coach?
Doing good.
Thank you for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Thank you guys for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Coach, what have you been up to lately?
I've been up to a little bit of everything. I've kept my eye on football, pro football, college football, but I'm a proud partner of a tequila brand, Grand Leyenda Tequila. Matter of fact, we have a deal with the Black Hole, so very excited about that. I do some things, obviously, in a lot of different areas. I've talked to a lot of different coaches. I've been on the West Coast Zoom with Alonzo Carter, who's done a great job of putting a lot of people together, and I probably take 4 to 5 calls on football every day. So it's been fun. I've been busy, but looking forward to the season to get started.
Yes, and then with that being said, I mean, this year is going to be like no other year before, right? With everything going on, COVID-19, social distancing, it looks like there's not going to be any fans in the stadiums. How do you feel about the NFL? Are they going to be able to pull this off?
Well, I think they're going to try. I think it's going to be difficult. It's not normal football as we know it. When you say no fans, that's going to be a problem. I don't care what nobody says, because I know how many of those players and coaches get up, for the game because of the fans. You think of that interaction that normally happens before the game, people calling your name, that energy that's normally in stadiums, that's not going to be there. So players are going to have to manufacture that on their own. So will the coaches. So it's going to be different. It's going to be a different brand of football.
Yeah, training camp just started and it looks a lot different, right? Just everyone's trying to be, stay safe and whatnot, and hopefully they can pull out the season because everyone needs it. Everyone's ready for some football.
Yes. Yeah, we all are. Absolutely.
How you doing, Coach Jackson?
Doing good, buddy. How you doing?
Doing great. Thank you for joining us tonight, man. What do you think about Baker Mayfield? Do you think he's the right quarterback for the future of the Cleveland Browns?
I do. I was there when we drafted him first overall, and I still say today he was the right pick at the right time for the team. I know, things didn't go as well for him last year, but again, this is a new year, new staff, new coaches, new voices, new talent around him. Does he need to play well this year? Absolutely he does, and he should. I mean, that's the reason why he was the first pick of the draft. But it's going to be it needs to be a good year for him. If he has a great year, then I think their team will have a really good year.
I couldn't agree anymore with you there. And my next question is for you. A lot of people, they forget that y'all had Dez Bryant in a couple years ago for a visit. So what did y'all see is to bring him in for a visit?
Well, he was a veteran receiver, and we thought we needed some veteran presence in our the receiver area is what I should say. We had Jarvis Landry, but outside of that, we didn't have anybody else who played a lot of football. We had a lot of young guys. And so at the time, we were looking for somebody that had some skins on the wall, had played at a high level in the National Football League. And we brought him in. It was great to meet him. Tremendous young man. I really enjoyed my time with him. He's a real one. He says what he means what he says, likes the ball. And but at that time, he just wasn't the right fit.
Yeah, the guy to tell you, I'm a big Dez fan, so I had to get a question in about Dez.
I totally understand.
Appreciate it, you.
Sure.
Hey, Coach, it's Jerry. So I got a couple of questions. Mine's a little bit more like I would like to get a little bit in depth. I mean, you've been in the league since '01, and we were talking about this just a little bit right before we got started. Man, you've been around some characters and some legends in the game itself. It's just, I mean, when you actually put it down into perspective, it's crazy. But let's talk front office, right? Front office, coaches. Let's say I mean, you've done this. You know, you've been the head coach. Let's say your team doesn't make the playoffs, right?
Mhm.
A typical offseason, you know, obviously I know coaches and executives, you know, they all have families. What is the actual like let's say a vacation look like after all the chaos of the combine and free
Right.
agency and the draft? Like,
Well,
I mean,
during
because
that
I
time
mean,
there, the times you just mentioned, there is no vacation.
there is
So
none.
no, the vacation really happens after you get done with the last mini camp during the summer. You know, so vacation normally starts for coaches, I would say right around middle of June, and it goes through July. Normally coaches get 4 or 5 weeks in the off season to have some real downtime where you spend it with your family and friends and loved ones.
Yeah.
And during that time, though, when you're the head coach, you're still thinking you can't turn it off. You know, you're trying to get your schedules, make sure everything that you're doing is putting your team in the best position to win, and your coaching staff. And so you're making sure that you're crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's, and getting ready for training camp, because training camp is where you really, truly start to make your football team.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, my biggest question always was, so I go, this was just my assumption was, I mean, once let's just say a team misses the playoffs, right? I was like, do they take some time off during that time, or are they actually paying attention to the teams in the playoffs, getting a big board ready for the combine? Like, I mean, like just I just kind of always was kind of curious, but that's good that you kind of cleared it up for us. So during this whole entire time, you're working all the way till June, and then you can.
Oh yeah, for the most part. Now, instead of working on Fridays, will you give the staff a chance to go home on Fridays, spend a little extra time, maybe be able to have a chance to pick up your kids from school and those type of things? Absolutely, you do. But you are still working. You know, you're trying to make sure you evaluate your current team and understand what you need to not be the team that's sitting at home the next year. So. And everybody's trying to find every edge that they can to get ahead of the next team, you know. So it's a 365-day a year job, and people don't understand that, because a lot of people say, "Oh, you guys just roll out a football, a bunch of men just go out there and play." No, there's a lot more to it. It's really strategic. You got to really be on top of your game to give your team the best chance to win.
Yeah, I've read a book. I believe it's Pat Kerwin. He has a good one. It says how to watch or how to watch the game differently. Basically, that's not the exact title, but it's crazy because he actually tells you the schedule, right? So that like during the season, the only real day off that everybody has is Tuesday, right? That's the only real
day that the players have off.
Yeah, that the players have off. But for the most part, the coaches are literally every single day. They're literally like, I mean, you're coaching.
The coaches don't. Yeah, coaches don't have an off day.
Yeah, you don't have an off day, and they say that the best players are the ones that you'll see in the rooms on Tuesdays doing extra. Like they're actually in the film room. So that's where champions are made. And I was like, wow. So they don't really have no days off. I mean, yeah, they get to go to their families and whatnot, but they really don't have time off. I mean, normally, I'm pretty sure it's just like anything. I mean, we've seen some stories, right? Some coaches are like there at 5 a.m. and they don't leave till like 7, 8 p.m. in the.
You mean about 11 p.m. at night?
11 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it happens, and that's the specialty, I should say, of the professionalism of the league. I mean, there's so many good coaches, so many good players and good teams. You have to look for every advantage that you can to give your team the best chance to be successful. When I go and roll out a game plan, our players either going to say, man, here we go, we got a chance, or they're going to say, man, we have no chance. So the coach understands that it's a selling job all the time. I'm selling a dream, and I have to sell that dream to the best of my ability every time I walk in front of the team. And the team has to buy it, believe in it, and go try to execute it. So to be prepared, you got to unturn every stone to make sure that you have the answers for the players.
Oh yeah, I see it. It's not for everybody, right? So
oh my gosh, no, I would have tried it. My son Chad Johnson, he's attempted it for about 2 days, and then all of a sudden he was AWOL. He was gone. couldn't find him anymore. He goes, "You guys, this is too many hours for me." So I get it. You know, it's a commitment, but it's really tough. It's tough on families because the wives and girlfriends become the dads a lot. You know, because sometimes dads can't be at all the events because he's probably traveling on a Saturday when those things are going, or he's preparing if there's a, you know, home game. So it is tough, but at the same time, it's very rewarding.
No, yeah. So what's next for you, Coach? I mean, we've seen other coaches, right? Most notable, Mike McCarthy. You know, he took some time off. He reassessed every play he said he called and saw the landscape of the league, right? And or do you see more of maybe broadcasting, you know, and television? And
oh no, I want to coach. That's my passion. That's my love, and I'm not going to shy away from that. I just think, and let's just be honest, I'll put it out there. It's just been tough for minorities to get positions anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the 100-year history of the National Football League. There's only been 18 head coaches in the history that are minority men. So I think that tells you a lot. And I go back to my time being in Oakland. When I was let go at Oakland, we were 8-8. We had the top 10 offense, and I had to go coach on defense. And Marvin Lewis gave me that opportunity. So I'm not surprised that I'm sitting here today without a job, but it's unfortunate, but that's what it's been. And that's the hard part. I know for some minorities, when they look to me, I've done this twice. And so they go, wait a minute now, Hugh's done it. Regardless of what it was, he didn't win. He still has a different type of resume. You know, he's been a coordinator, he's been a quarterback coach, he's grand office, he's done all that. So why is he sitting on the sidelines? So there's fear, I think, sometimes of men saying, boy, if I get this job and it doesn't work out, where do I go? Because I've seen this happen to him where he had to go on defense one time, and the other time he's just been out of the league altogether. So I get it, and that's tough. I'd love to be doing what Mike McCarthy's doing or any other coach who was, but that just doesn't happen that way for minorities sometimes.
Yeah, I know. What part of coaching is you got to have your staff in place too, right? So I'm pretty sure when your time is called, your time is going to be called. I'm pretty sure we'll see you in the league soon.
Absolutely. No doubt.
Yes.
Thank you for the time with me.
Sure.
Hey, Coach, before we let you go, I did want to get your thoughts on the younger quarterbacks coming into the league. So we have, you know, Joe Burrow, of course, in Cincinnati, Tua Tagovailoa in Miami. There's a lot of young quarterbacks in the league now. You know, Lamar Jackson last year had a tremendous year and he won the MVP award. What are your thoughts on the quarterback position and kind of like the evolution of it?
I think it's really changing. And I think the National Football League has really adapted some of the concepts from college. You're starting to see more of the RPO game. You're starting to see more of the quarterback who's athletic playing in the National Football League. Some of the best quarterbacks in the league today are guys who are dual threats. You know, even Patrick Mahomes with all that arm talent can still run. And you mentioned Lamar Jackson. You look at Deshaun Watson. You look at Russell Wilson. I mean, that's a lot of talent that I just mentioned. And I hate to say it, all those guys are men of color, you know. And then you got the Drew Brees and Tom Brady's and those guys and Aaron Rodgers. Those are the older cats now, and you just said it. So here comes this new influx of young talent. And the key will be for those guys, I think all of them are fine players. It's when they play and who's surrounding them.
Right.
Because you sure don't want to put a quarterback out there before it's time. And you have to make sure that your team is ready for that quarterback to play. And I do subscribe to the notion that in order for players to get better, they need to play. But I can't put a player out there if he has the potential to get hurt. Right. So I always go back to the year when I had Baker Mayfield and Tyrod Taylor. One, we brought Tyrod in. This guy had been in the playoffs in Buffalo. Okay, and then we drafted Baker Mayfield number 1 overall, but Joe Thomas retired. So I didn't know who the left tackle was going to be. So I'm not going to stick the future of the franchise behind center early in the year and not know who the left tackle is and if that guy can protect him. And if you go back and look, it took a while for us to figure out who the left tackle really was going to be. And then Mr. Robinson took it over later on in the year. So I just think everybody got to be strategic about these young guys. I think they're very talented because all these quarterbacks only have so many hits in their bodies. And you fool around and you get them beat up, it's over. And so just got to be smart about it. And I think teams will be with these guys because they're very talented.
And then also with that being said, there's not going to be a preseason, right? So it's going to be a lot difficult for coaches to be able to evaluate players. So how do you feel like that process is going to work? I mean, now we know that, there's extra playoff teams, as far as seeding wise goes in the playoffs. So do you feel like coaches are going to kind of treat week one like a preseason game? I know it's regular season every
No, they can't. They won't. You just said it because it is regular season. They can't treat it like preseason because you only get 16 of these special Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays whenever they play. And so you have to put your best foot forward at all of them in order to see where you are at the end of the year and add those numbers up. So I think it's going to be tough for free agents. I think it's going to be tough for first-year players, especially if they're not there and understand the system. I think you'll see a lot of especially veteran coaches keep guys that maybe they normally wouldn't keep because they know what they're going to get. They know exactly what they're getting from this player week in and week out, as opposed to keeping a free agent guy and saying, I'm not sure what I'm going to get. And I might depend on this guy playing. I've never seen him play against any live NFL competition. That will be hard. So I think it's a tough year, I think, for the free agent players. The quarterbacks will be really tough, because they're going to be playing against just their teams. They're not going to have preseason games or any of that. And the first time they see another team, it's going to count.
Right.
Okay. It's going to, and the pressure, the anxiety, the pressure of being right for a quarterback, 70 plays in a game, not making a mistake. Boy, that's going to be tough. So it's going to be an interesting year.
Yeah, and with that being said, next year, do you feel like there is going to be a preseason? If everything goes back to normal, of course.
I do. I believe that. Now, they may cut it where 4 games, make it where it's 2. But I think you need that because how else do you give first-year players, the rookies, the opportunity to showcase their talent and ability? Practice is one thing. The game is totally different, and so everybody says they try to make practice as much like a game as they can, and I think we all do. But at the same time, the game is still the game. Come into the game, the fans, everything that goes with it, the other team, and going out and competing against some guys that you haven't seen or competed against. There's a different energy that players bring.
All right, Coach. And before we let you go, I just, I wanted to ask you about the Hugh Jackson Foundation. Can you just tell a little bit more about that?
No, it's our foundation is the Hugh Jackson Foundation. It's hughjackson.org, and it's about human trafficking. And we've collaborated with the Salvation Army. We have a housing facility there that has 14 beds. And I think they're all full right now. Obviously, human trafficking is an unbelievable, dreadful tragedy on humanity. I'm just appalled at the numbers that you hear, how many people are trafficked every day. And we're trying to make an impact as much as we can, and we're going to. And we also have another group called Strangers to Changers, where we're asking people to make a difference in their community. Come out and make change. And the only way to make change is to be involved. Get involved in your communities, do something positive to make this a much better place. Let's leave this world a better place than what we found it. And that's what we're all trying to do.
All right, Coach. Well, we appreciate your time. Good luck. I know you're going to get a head coaching job here soon. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate your time.